Bobby, why do so many people call car washes?
Great question, Brian. My wife is still asking me that too. I can't believe how many phone calls that we get, but we get it for anything that you can imagine, right? We get membership cancellations. We want people want refunds. They expect a refund. They've got credit card updates. They want to call in about a damage claim from like 2 weeks ago. They want to file one. So we literally get any and all reasons why people would call a car wash, and our team would handle any and all those situations based on the playbook that we work out with our partners that we work with.
Presented from the iShin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
Welcome to the Professional Car Washing and Detailing's Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, our guest is Bobby Thomson from Retention Express. Welcome.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be up here with you and appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about it today.
Yeah, I really appreciate you braving the storm and coming up here to Akron. And I want to dive right into car wash phone calls. You handle over 1 million car wash phone calls in a year. And why are people calling so much?
Any and all reasons you can think of, they're going to call, right? Partly you got two different types of customers that would call. You got your retail and you got your membership. So we look at both of them a little bit differently. People with memberships want to cancel memberships. They've got billing issues. They had a fraud issue with their credit card. They want to get it up to date. People will take the path of least resistance, right? And I'd rather call you than type up an email, right? Is the mindset for some people. Other demographics would rather email you. Other people rather text into you. But they'll do it across all channels for quality complaints, for billing issues, employee complaints, right? Anything related to car washing, they're going to call about. We get compliments too. They want to call in and give a good compliment for an employee who greeted them at the pay station, was very patient with them, helped explain the products and services. We do get calls for that too. So we like to pass that on to the managers and owner and operator. So it's not always negative. We like the positive too, and it's really important that they're aware of, they're doing a good job. But it can be damage claims, and we've heard stories that you wouldn't believe, right? Like I got sprayed in the face with a pressure washer, my window was down, and they're not happy about it, right? So we escalate those type of issues to, directors and other leadership people, and they investigate, and obviously that does not create a great customer experience or reputation if you have maybe a potential bad employee or they had a bad moment and people are not happy about it. So we really look at, what we do, trying to be the voice of the customer, right? Like they need help, they have questions, we want to make sure they have an outlet, and it helps the brand loyalty of the operators that we work with to keep their customers happy, right? Mm-hmm. Like happy customers will wash more cars, and the more they do that, then the more money they'll make. And that's really what we're trying to do, is solve both of those things to help operators.
I had definitely thought about answering the phone for the customer who has a damage claim or was upset, but I had definitely not thought about the customer that just wanted to say, hey, when I came in, Bobby was smiling and he explained everything to me, and it was a great experience. And you're right. I mean, you want to hear both the unhappy voice of your customer, but more importantly, you want to hear the happy voice of your customer so that you can do more of it, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it goes with that saying, right? If you have a negative experience, you'll tell 20 people. If you have a positive one, you may tell 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. And when we do like social media reviews, that's one of our platforms that we work with, there's an opportunity for operators to target those promoters, right? The people who are happy to do business with them, but those are the people who never get any contact. So you got to be proactive to try and create the opportunity to get the people who are happy with your brand to take that step to give you a positive review or a 5-star review or an accolade to an employee. So a lot of operators are good at that. They will encourage their employees to create that opportunity for a 5-star feedback. Mm-hmm. Other people completely miss it.
Well, I want to talk about outsourcing phone calls. So, sure. Like let's assume I'm a car wash owner and I'm handling my own phone calls right now. If I decide to outsource, what does that look like?
Yeah, so the key benefits, right? We are niche within the car washing space, right? We're going to be very consistent in the messaging, which is really number one, right? Like you want a consistent platform to handle your customers. Number two is you get really better coverage. Our team will work 7 days a week, right? So depending on who we work with and what their expectations are, we have agents that work really from 7 o'clock in the morning up until midnight. And West Coast, East Coast, we're in 5 time zones, so there's different schedules of operators and their time and trying to match up with people. So we have people working around the clock to try and help different brands that we work with to provide the best coverage. And we don't just answer phone calls. We handle emails. It takes a long time to type up a proper email and give instructions or give feedback. But we do texting channels, we have chats, like we are a true contact support center, customer support center, and we leverage all channels to open up to your demographic, right? Like every demographic out there has a different means of how they want to communicate. Most people are very quick to just make a phone call. They will call, even though your hours of operation are on your website, they are on Google, they will call to go, are you open? They just don't want to drive down there to, figure out if you have cones out front or not. So it's really important that we, appeal to all, every part of the audience.
Interesting. So I want to talk a little bit about AI,
Sure.
because AI is getting involved in every business in the United States. And you hear about people that are, I'm going to have all my phone AI, I'm not going to have my phone AI. You have the opportunity for people to have a little bit of both. What does the marriage of live agents and AI look like?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? Our core service when we built the company is around the human touch, right? Live agents handling real phone calls, responding back in real time. AI, our first benefit was more internal, right? And kind of reading the intent of customers and helping our agents move a little bit quicker. But with the volumes, right, call volumes coming in, like, wow, how do we get this, speech to text and text to speech, communication path to really work in our favor? So the marriage really comes down to our live agents are very high touch, right, and how we handle customers and how we communicate with managers at the site level when we get calls related to their location. That's a very high touch escalation and conversation. The AI creates a lot of efficiencies, right? The mundane task of are you open can be handled through AI, right? We don't just bill it to just answer calls. We bill it to be more of an AI sales agent to create revenue, right? Like when people call in, there's a lot of retail opportunity that we've learned through our data that you got retail customers calling in who don't know that are you a touchless car wash or what's the benefit of a membership? How does it work? The AI does a great job. Our people do a great job, but if AI can give people answers immediately on the first ring, right, 100% of the time, you're going to convert more people, right? If a call goes unanswered, right, which in car washing, typically 80% of calls to the car wash go unanswered, is lost revenue. Every call is an opportunity for revenue is the way that we look at it. So if the AI can help alleviate a little bit of the pressure and create a better experience, it's a beautiful marriage to scale, right, to grow.
Well, gosh, if 80% of the calls are going unanswered, that means you're only answering 1 out of 5 calls. So if I'm your customer and I have to call you 5 times to get an answer, I may not be your customer anymore.
Correct, right? Like we've always kind of looked at Retention Express as, it costs a lot more to go acquire new people than to keep the people you have. And people do a really good job of marketing and getting people into the front door. But ultimately, you lose sight of when people exit, right? They leave the business and you don't have good data to really truly tell you why. So, our model is Retention Express is we focus on retention of revenue. We help negotiate refunds. We create revenue for the operators. We sell a ton of angle plans, right? During promotions, we help explain it, get them to sign up. We go through the whole model. But at the end of the day, like membership churn is a very big, important part of membership, right? Like you're going to have it. And what happens with AI and even our people, we capture all the data to really understand the why, right? And if you, as an owner, do not know all of the other reasons why, and that problem persists, then your churn, you can never address that problem. So the insights that we gather and that we deliver to our partners, back to them to help the owners, the operations, and the marketing can be really valuable, right? Like, and from an operations point of view, right, if you have a lot of unauthorized unauthorized memberships that were sold, and the customers are calling in hot about it, and they got recharged, and they're like, I didn't know it was a recurring charge. Well, when we hear a lot of that, then typically you can go fix that problem, right? That's a coaching, right, or a reminder back to your team that, hey, you sold a promotion, you got to remind people that will automatically renew.
Yeah.
Right. And even though most employees, I feel, probably do that, customers will tell you whatever they want to hear, what they want you to hear to help their argument, especially for a refund. We still want to capture that data, because when we look at, we have, I think, 28 different cancellation reasons why people would call in to cancel. And if unauthorized or unaware of a recurring charge is anywhere in the top 3, you should be addressing it. And so with some of our larger customers that we work with in PE groups, right, we create a report back to them weekly that shows which locations had the most unauthorized. So we get down to that level that they can go back and coach managers or new employees on the proper selling technique. So it's become really valuable to really cut down on making sure you inform people that you're buying a membership.
Yeah.
So we see every type of marketing promotion that works, what doesn't work. We get best practices because we just see so much over, our enterprise with all the large brands, small brands, this marketing company, that marketing company, this, promotion, that promotion. We see it all, and we take the brunt of the good and the bad, right? And so we want to learn from the bad, and anything that we can pass on to help the operator to improve their operations, or tweak the messaging that went out on a text, because we're getting a lot of phone calls that creates confusion. We've had it where the link that went out was a dead link. A lot of people call and go, I can't get it. Well, we uncover that very quickly. We escalate. We solve that problem before it becomes a bigger problem.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, you've talked a lot about inbound calls. Let's shift to outbound calls and other uses for AI. Like, is AI strictly for inbound, or is there other ways we can use it?
Yeah, great question, Brian. So that's the part that I love about it, right? Like, it's opened up more opportunities for us to help operators in different ways. So the easy part is, yes, every call coming in can get a 100% answer rate. But let's talk about, how do we get people to convert from month 1 to month 2? Well, we can take and build an outbound agent that would call any new members, right, after like the first 2 weeks, and go, hey, Brian, thank you for being a member, right, with Bobby's Car Wash. Just want to give you a couple pointers about the membership to make you aware. You can go to any location. We do bill every 30 days. You can manage your account online. And we're glad that you're part of our club, right, a wash club. Those little reminders are recorded, they're documented, right? And one of the biggest challenges that we've talked to owner and operators with is chargebacks, right? How do you get a bank to really turn around a chargeback? So they're going to look at your processes that you have in place, right? And more likely you're going to lose.
Yeah.
But we have a recorded call, right? If we have documentation that, hey, we called Brian on the 15th, it's still billed, and he's disputing the charges. We told him how the process worked. He just never called in. And with our live agents, right, with AI, the good thing is it's got to escalate to somebody at some point to handle more complicated issues. And we have the opportunity to provide live agents on the back end to do it on behalf of our customers that we work with. But other operators have their own team, right? They may have their own call center. We just direct the AI on escalations to their team. So that's been a wonderful opportunity too. On an outbound call, right, if customers have a question, we just redirect back into our team or their team. So that's one use case. Another one that we've done recently is a win-back campaign. You take a set of customers that terminating their account, call it back in, September. Now we're coming into, about to approach spring. You may put together a win-back campaign. You call 1,000 people and go, hey, here's an offer. It's good for the next 2 weeks. We'd love to get you back on, the property. We had really good success doing that. So inbound and outbound, outbound has a lot of other use cases too. Those are just 2 quick ones that we've done that we would highly recommend. But you can get into internal agents, right? You can create a one-on-one sales conversation with new hires. You can have a benefits agent that would explain, here's what's included within your membership or within your benefits plan. So there's a lot of information that can be had, which is probably available online. But again, people like to call, right? So you give them another outlet where if they want to do that, they can. So the phone is one channel. We have AI chat, right, which is very interactive. That's a great sales tool as well. So we've had, one of our large operators was generating well over 200 chats per day. And it was generating like 100 tickets into our support team because it wasn't really able to have AI infused to sell it, right? So once the AI launched, it cut it down where 80% gets resolved, less than 20% is creating a ticket, meaning customers are getting their answers very quickly, all answers.
Wow.
So it's really impactful. We've had really good feedback from it.
Like when you talk about the benefits, I hadn't thought about that. Most companies have a manual and it has it's 100 pages or it's 80 pages or however big it is.
Yeah.
And so if you just want to know, how many paid days off do I get after 5 years? How easy is it to just call and ask the AI?
Yeah.
It gives you an answer like that.
Yeah, 100%, right? So I think more people will go down that path at some point, right? Like you have early adopters, you have people who are just too busy, they get too many other projects, they kind of shelf it. But the benefits are real, right? And, controllers and accounting people, they don't really want to take a lot more phone calls. They don't have to, right? You don't want to direct them online typically. But if you have a voice agent that can just provide that information 100% of the time, 24/7, is better for everybody, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, it really helps them out. The other use case, right, we've heard about too is for operations, right, and potential repairs. So if people are like, well, I got this issue, right, and maybe it's a common, especially over a large, enterprise, right? Some problems are common from one to the other. They may already have a solution already developed and built, and that could also be part of that knowledge base to actually educate, the person calling in or troubleshoot it, right? Hey, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Right? Did you look here? Sort of gives them that step by step. So they can be on the phone, go through the process, go through it and go, okay, if none of those work, then escalate to your facilities manager and then he can call in a ticket. So it just helps on the troubleshooting initially. There's all different kind of use cases for it.
Wow, that does sound. I mean, there's a million things that can go wrong, and if you can give somebody an answer to maybe even 200,000 of those million, right? Like they can just go out there and fix it right now instead of making a phone call and waiting for somebody to come. And meanwhile, your customers are all leaving upset because they can't get the car washed.
Right.
I mean, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, look, more complex stuff. Maybe it's not the best tool, right? But again, initial troubleshooting, just to remind people to go, hey, have you thought about this? Have you tried that? Right? Taking the initial 10 minutes of diagnosis, call with your leader gives him a little bit of a break too, and maybe it gets auto-solved before it ever gets to him. But, again, with AI, inbound, outbound, internal, you need an escalation path, right? And people still want to talk to people, right? And the high touch will always win, but we do want AI, to help us in so many different ways, not only for the efficiency, but the data and the insights, right? So if you get a lot of phone calls related to benefits, then maybe as an employer, you're like, hey, maybe we should push more on the benefits and maybe we educate them a little bit more on the front end because a lot of these questions are pretty generic, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunity to help businesses run better and make more money.
Well, I want to shift gears and you have a big anniversary coming up, 5 years in the business. Like we were joking earlier, every kid when they're 10 years old and they say, what do you want to do when you grow up? They say, I want to get in the car wash business, right? Well, tell me about what brought Retention Express to be, and what the last 5 years have looked like.
Yeah, great question, right? So, yeah, I went to Georgia Tech, and coming out, Carwashing was never on my roadmap of where I thought I'd end up in my career.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in Carwashing are the same way. They had different career paths that kind of lead them back here. But I had a 22-year career with AT&T advertising. We did Yellow Page advertising, right? So I led enterprise sales. I was in leadership for 12. And really the light bulb for me was our private equity new owner of our $2 billion division came in, and they're like, we're churning millions of dollars every month. We have no data, no real insight to tell us why. So I got asked to lead a national retention call center. And we built our, call center really as a hybrid model of salespeople and support people, because we want to retain revenue, right? Like we were, $2 billion company, right? You like your revenue at that point, you want to keep it and you want to fix the problems that you have. We didn't know all the problems that we had. So our job was to handle every call that wanted to cancel. They got routed to our division. We captured all the data, all the insights to the why. We were empowered to fix issues. And then we had escalation paths, within our organization and to solve those problems. Mm-hmm. And so if you know what your problem is, you have a much better opportunity to go fix it. And what you want to do is uncover the issues that create a lot of churn and get ahead of the problem before it really multiplies in scale. And we were past that point. So I learned a lot in leading that division of the other side of the company, right? One thing in the front door, right? Get the revenue in, new customers in, but it's the back door, when people exit, how they leave your brand really matters, because we had a lot of people who were leaving who were really upset for a lot of different reasons. So it was our job to try and turn them around and take that and not only retain that customer, make them happy, but then take that data internally to go, hey, we got a lot of people with the same problem. We should go fix that. And so when I got into car washing in a consulting role, I saw the same problem, right? Like high churn, right? No one was really doing a great job in customer support, and there's no data. And my brother, who's been in the car washing industry for a long time, I've always been on the sidelines, so I've known about it. I told him, like, well, I solved this problem at AT&T, and here's how we did it. And so that's where the idea came from, creating a company to serve car wash owner and operators on membership retention. And not only provide a great level of support, but gather data and let the data help tell us what we should go fix and not fix. And so 5 years ago, right, that idea, really came to life, and go, St. Patty's Day, which is coming up, right, March 17th, is really the day I got my EIN, right? So it's kind of a big day for me, and the idea, I'm like, wow, I'm gonna go bet on myself and create a company to go help people and solve the problem that I think is very big, and in the car washing space it was. So that's how it started, right? And then the first trade show coming out of COVID, right, because that was a COVID era, was Dallas and the Southwest show. So I'm going there brand new, right? Like, really didn't know a whole lot about the owner and operators. And it's really funny, like my booth was right next to Jeremy and Levi at OpSpot. So that was like my first introduction with people at the car wash, which they're really good guys, right? So after that point, like, we had a different service that we want to really, generate and keep building and growing. So, we've been growing ever since, which has been great, right? Like our core model was live agents, right? But we know as industries, you got to keep changing and evolving, and that's where we kind of grew into the whole AI model very quickly. So now we can work with owner and operators throughout the U.S., whether they use our team or they have their own team, it doesn't really matter. Like our AI can help solve problems, period, right? We build our AI agents like we train real people, right? We take all the data that we've learned of why people call in. We want to make it the most detailed and thorough, agent out there to be representing the brand. And so we're just really deep into the playbook, into the process, right? Working with owner and operators. So as we've grown and scaled, right? Like we've we've learned from this operator, we learned from that one, we've learned from this marketing, we learned from this POS, right? So we are full-on experts in every platform out there because every one of our customers use a different POS, right? And so we uncover a lot of issues within that too, right? To help owner and operators that may just keep moving. When we run into a problem, we escalate. So it doesn't matter if it's newer technology platforms, right? We escalate, work with them to help fix the problems for our customers, right? So, you know, we're just very ingrained. Like, it's been a fun journey for 5 years, and it is a big deal, and I appreciate you bringing that up because, you know, going to business, you don't know how things are going to go. And, you know, 5 years later, it's a big anniversary. So I'm definitely proud of it, proud of, you know, we have roughly about 80% retention on employees within our internal organization. Our retention of current customers that we work with, all of our early adopters, you know, from 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, are still with us.
Wow.
So, you know, like that right there just tells me that there are advocates. They help us, right? They tell other owner and operators. And, you know, retention for you is really important for me too as an owner, you know, from not only from an employee and, you know, what we call like an agent experience, but we want our customers to be happy. So I feel like we do, you know, we create a ton of value back to them to help them grow, help them operationally, you know, take a lot of weight off managers, right? We do all the dirty work, right? When our team, you know, we can handle up to 95%, you know, of any customer issue without escalating back to their team. We only escalate the issues that need to go back to them, right? If it's a larger refund, then like our negotiation, you know, we don't push it. We give the owner and operator, you know, opportunity to go, okay, here's the situation. We've done all the investigation. Here's all the work. How do you want to handle your customer? Do you want us to refund them 8 months or just stick to 3? So those are escalations, right? Quality complaints, damage claims, you know, maybe employee complaints. We go maybe to the owner to let him know, just to kind of work backwards if we need to. But yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming in. Is there anything more you'd like to share with our audience today?
You know, like, you know, I think car washing is definitely in a critical period, right? Like, there's so much technology finally coming in. I think operators are, you know, probably getting a little bit overwhelmed maybe with all the opportunities out there to, you know, to help them. But I think there's a really high growth opportunity in the next 5 years when people embrace the technology. But more importantly, what do they do with it, right? Having data is one thing, but what you do with it and what kind of action you take upon it is really another. And sometimes people don't have time to do it. So I think there's a really good opportunity, you know, to keep growing in the space. I think AI is going to come in and help the retail market even more, right? We leverage it from a customer support, you know, contact center support model, right, to, you know, to help them. So I'm excited to be a part of it. You know, we have a lot of really good customers, and hopefully we'll work with many more. But yeah, thank you.
I appreciate you coming in.
Absolutely.
And thank you for taking the time to join us for this professional car washing and detailing's executive spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today our guest has been Bobby Thomson from Retention Express. We hope to see you again on a future episode.